Hi everyone, my name's Katy, Carmichael, and I was really looking forward to meeting everyone and working with you on your screen acting and your self-tape audition techniques in person. But because of the strange circumstances we're all in, we're going to have to do the next best thing. I do hope everyone's really healthy and happy in the circumstances. So, I am an actress and a director and producer. I'm also an ex-NYT member, and I still do a lot of auditions for screen, for TV and film, and I also coach people for TV and film auditions. So I want to share with you some of my top tips for performance and also the expectations from casting directors and the technical setup, which is equally important. So the backdrop, first off, always go for a plain backdrop. Blues, greys, soft pinks are nice, something very neutral. Don't go for a white, because white often upstages you. And if you do go for a blue, don't wear blue. If you do go for a grey, don't wear grey, because you get lost and look like a floating head. I sometimes record against a wooden door or a panelled wall that we've got downstairs, but keep it simple. The backdrop shouldn't distract from you. So to create your backdrop, you can I sometimes use an old blue duvet sheet over the back of a door. You can buy these things from Amazon, like a great big roll of paper that you bulldog clip onto a frame. But if you don't want to go to any expense, you can paint a piece of card, you can find a wall that's a plain colour, but keep it simple. Always keep it simple. The most important thing is the light. And now I always try and use natural light. I wouldn't use today so much as an example because I've had to find a quiet corner of my house because everyone's self-isolating. There's not much space. But I would always try and work in natural light near a window with an even spread of light. So a front direction light, nothing too harsh from either side or from on top. If it's a bright day, I put tracing paper in the window. In fact, I normally try and wait until it's a little bit cloudy. If it's after dark, in the winter it can be hard if you're asked to do a self-tape by your agent at 6 o'clock the night before. You can use a light. I've got one of these very basic lights. It's called a ring light, and it works. These are quite simple. You can get them from Amazon, and it has different levels, and you can just use that to create an all-round light. Always film landscape, not portrait. So you're always going to have your camera this way round rather than in a portrait. That's the standard accepted format for a self-tape. And be careful not to chop the top of your head off with the framing. I've done that once or twice. Camera-wise, I sometimes use my MacBook, and open it and use photo booth. So just fold it open and film on photo booth, and you can trim the top and tail of that off if your scene is too long. Or most people, and I also use my iPhone. So an iPhone is a really good quality. It's good enough quality for self-tape. You can get yourself a little cheap tripod or stand, once again from Amazon, for about £15 to £20. So that should work well. Sound-wise, I do sometimes use this microphone. It's also a USB microphone. This is a Blue Yeti that is compatible with my computer and my phone. But equally, and casting directors, especially in America, often insist on very, very good audio. But I would also say that phones at such a close distance, that the sound is adequate. So don't go to any extra trouble there. I think it was Shakespeare who said, "Your eyes are the windows to your soul." Now this is the same for self-taping. When you're taping, I think it's really important to keep your eye line as near to the lens as possible. At the moment, I'm talking down the lens at you. But if you're acting, it's important to have your eyes not barreling the lens, not looking straight down the lens, but as near to the lens as possible. Now, I achieve this by putting a little bit of blue tack or tape right near the lens, and I make that eye line the other person, even if it's a bit false in the creation playing of the scene, the camera picks up what you're thinking. The casting director can see your thoughts, can see how truthful and natural and how connected you are to the character. What to wear for an audition? Keep it simple, 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 simple. No logos, no stripes, no spots, no glittery tops, nothing distracting. I would never dress for the part, but I would dress to suggest the part. So if it's a period costume drama, maybe something with a nice period neckline. If you were going for a businessman, or a suit jacket with a shirt. But otherwise, I just think really simple tops. I bought the same top in lots of different colours, just simple necklines, no jewellery, no fancy earrings. An innocent character, you might want to wear a white shirt or a white top. Somebody who's a bit more evil, you might want to wear something dark, but just dress to suggest the character. So that's no crazy ties. Makeup and hair, once again, keep them simple. There's nothing worse on a self-tape than someone with loads of lip gloss on or glittery eyeshadow or just too much makeup. They want to see your face. Once again, if you're a little bit spotty, conceal your spots, a tiny bit of mascara, but nothing too over the top. Keep it simple. Learn your lines. Now, there isn't always time to do this. You can be thrown a great big 10-page script the night before and you would be forgiven for not knowing your lines, but the more comfortable you are with the script, the more you can play with it, the more free you can be. If you are short of time, there are auto cue apps you can get that are compatible with iPhones and iMacs. I have also had in last minute emergency situations the words typed up and held up by my reader with great big pieces of card next to the camera lens. That's not ideal, but if time is short, it's better to get it off than not at all. The best way is to learn your lines and know your character so you're free to play and be in the moment. Okay, lines off. So hopefully you'll have a friend, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a flatmate, a dad, a mum to read off with you. And what I would suggest, they're not all necessarily actors, but it's nice if they give you a little bit of energy, a bit of character if they can, but it's equally important that they keep their voice low in the mix. So it's your voice and your character we hear over theirs. When you're reading in a room with a casting director and they read lines off, they can often read the lines very, very deadpan. But I think that little bit of extra energy from the reader is really encouraging. And what I would say with the scene is you set up and you do it 3-4 times and then you give yourself a break. Go off, have a cup of tea, run around the block, play with your cat, put some music on, do some dancing, just forget it because you become less and less natural and it can be very tense making and your reader can be getting impatient. So just give yourself a break after 3 or 4 takes and then come back to it. So your on-screen performance. This obviously is the most important part, even if you get all the technicals right. And the best bit of advice I can give here is to relax, 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 relax. Make sure you've got a comfortable chair with a cushion. As I said earlier, know your lines. They will know within the first few seconds whether this face is telling the story for their script and whether your face fits the part. And there's not very much you can do about that, but what you can do is enjoy what you're giving them. So keep it natural, try and think through everything, don't rush. And if you're making a character choice, unless there are specified stage directions, be bold. I mean, they might want you to try it in a certain accent or in a certain way. There will probably be a character breakdown and some notes from the casting director if it's come from an agent. But if not, and even if those notes come through from the agent, you can make bold choices. And no choice is wrong, really, as long as you're bold and truthful and natural with that choice. So the cross you've put near to the lens is going to be the other person. You imagine that cross is the other person's eyes, and the more you can imagine that other person in the scene, the more you can play that scene to them. And it's not just in the speaking of the script, it's in the listening. So what's really important with the self-tape is doing lots of active listening. And by that, I don't mean demonstrative listening. I mean really being in the moment and listening to those lines off, because the reacting is just as important on camera, and the detail of that reacting shows as much about your inhabitation of the character as reading the script does. So really do some active listening. So there might also be some other characters in the scene, or a character might leave the scene. So you take your eye line maybe to a door, or look at some people in a crowd over the top of the lens. If you're a lawyer playing a courtroom, for example, you might play nearly 180 degrees. But most of the time you'll be playing a duologue, and you can look at that cross or have your thoughts away, but keep connecting with that other character in the scene. Don't do too much looking down, even if in reality that character might on the day in the final film. Without being artificial, the casting director wants to see you and wants to see your face and wants to see, more importantly, wants to see your thoughts. And we see your thoughts through your eyes, and the nearer those eyes are to the lens and the brighter lit they are, the more chance the casting director has to see that you're right for the part. So don't push the performance out there like you might do on stage. Keep it centered, keep it focused, and keep it alive. And take your time. So take your time within the scene, but vary the pace within the scene. When you work on your script, when you're learning your lines, mark up the moments where there might be a change of energy, when your character has a new thought, where your character's thoughts motivate their actions. Try and find moments of conflict in the scene, moments of connection. And I do that preparatory work on your script when you're learning your lines. And some casting directors say don't do it too many times, and I agree with this. Don't spend a whole afternoon on a self-tape. As I said earlier, the casting directors, producers will know within the first 30 seconds whether they're going to recall you or whether your face fits the part, whether your face tells the story of the part that they're casting. There's not very much you can do about that. But what you can do is keep it natural, and I think if you do it too many times, you can lose that spontaneity. So once you've done it a few times, leave it and don't go back over it and analyse it. Just leave it. So when you have finished recording the scene, you might want to trim the top and tail off it, but normally you wouldn't edit a scene together. You would normally let it run. So try and get it right. They're normally no longer than about 3-4 minutes max. So it is important to try and get that scene right, as good as it can possibly be, in one take. And then it's important to do your slating, your idents, which is your name, agent, if you have one, your height and your age. And that you say that directly to camera, down the lens, and often a full body slate as well, so they can see that you haven't got 5 legs or something, or a tail or something. They're particularly fanatical about that in America. They want you to do a very good ident at the end. Then in terms of formatting your tape, I use WeTransfer, and I think this is the most foolproof way. So if you're taking it from your, and I'm not very technical, and I manage it, so you drag your MP4 onto the desktop, or if it's from Photo Booth, you can just drag that straight onto the desktop. You save it, you can maybe trim the top and the tail off, drag it onto the desktop, and then open up the Go to Free in WeTransfer, www.wetransfer.com, take me to free, attach your files, which will be on the desktop. And it's really important when you're sending them off that you label them correctly. So it would be your name, the character that you're auditioning for, and the project that you're auditioning for, and the scenes. So there might be scene 1 and scene 2. I normally just send 1 take of each, but if you do 2 takes of each scene, or if it might be 5 scenes, there might be 3 scenes, but I would only send 2 takes if those takes are different enough, because the casting directors don't have, normally hundreds of people are sending their tapes in for these parts, don't have time to watch hours and hours and hours of footage. So I would only send 2 takes of each scene if those scenes are different enough. And then you send it off to your agent, and often follow it up with an email to your agent, or if it's going direct to the casting director, follow it up with an email to the casting director to check that they have indeed received the files and have downloaded them successfully. WeTransfer should tell you that by email as well. So there are some basic starter tips for the self-tape, or the screen acting audition tape. So hopefully you've got some information now to get going. If anybody wants to email me, I'll give my email to Jo for questions before you tape, or even ideas for scenes. I can share those with you. Otherwise, find something about 3-4 minutes long and have a go, and good luck, and just enjoy it. Just relax, naturalness, openness, connection to truth, and just really be yourself, because your unique selling point is you. It's your face, it's your energy, and it's the way the camera connects with you and the way that you connect with your character, and whether at the end of the day yours is the face that they want to tell that story. So good luck with it, and I'm really looking forward to getting everybody's tapes and giving you some feedback on them. Goodbye everyone, and good luck with your tapes.